trading 99 US cents, 71 euro cents and 62 pence sterling. So for more on the impact of the Reserve Bank's decision, we're joined by Rod North from investor relations firm Bourse Communications. Rod, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, a few people predicted that the RBA would move on rates yesterday on Cup Day.
Yes, they did. In fact, I mean, look, it was a bit of a mixed call. I think a lot of people were sort of enjoying the races, and then 2:30 came around. I thought, OK, we've got a 25 basis points increase. It was probably going to come at some stage between now and Christmas, but I think it was a sort of 50-50 bet, actually, and then, of course, followed by the banks having a bit of a think, and then Commonwealth Bank coming out with an even bigger surprise for people yesterday by, increasing another 20 basis points above the 25 basis points to take it to 45 basis points. So I think that was a bit of a shock, although the banks had been warning the market for some time that was a likely chance that they could do that. And of course, I think there's been quite a significant mood in the market to sort of indicate they're not going to be overly happy with that. And of course, we're going to see further banks make other announcements in the next few days.
As somebody who advises companies on communication strategies, what do you think of the approach taken by the CBA to announce that big rise so quickly, and to do so while everybody was either at the racetrack or watching the race?
Well, I actually sort of take the view that, what have we really learned from the global financial crisis? I think, many small businesses and many individuals are still sort of recovering from the global financial crisis. And I think one of the key imposts that people have is paying their mortgage. And I think, it's fine for the Reserve Bank to put rates up when it feels it needs to sort of slow the economy down a bit. I mean, the Reserve Bank really took the view that this rate increase was perhaps a preemptive event to prevent inflation from sort of taking hand. But then when you've got the major banks that now have a 90% control of the mortgage market, I mean, it really sort of beggars belief in some respects. And you think, well, what have we really learned from the global financial crisis? There perhaps should be more restraint, shown, I think, in respect to that.
There's clearly, just apart from the Senate inquiry, there is going to be some sort of big crackdown now, it would seem, on banks, on maybe not profitability, but surely competition. I just don't know what form that would take.
Well, it really, I suppose, when you look back over the history of markets, I mean, when markets recover, you start to get more institutions coming back into the market. And we basically lost all the non-bank finance institutions through the global financial crisis, which of course has been a boom for the banks, which has been great news for shareholders of the banks. But as we're currently experiencing, it's not great news for customers, particularly those with mortgages. So as the recovery continues over the next year or so, it is likely that we would start to see more institutions sort of rear their head again and say we're going to get into sort of lending mode as well. But I mean, we can't be sort of in a situation where perhaps we're seeing the banks take on the role of the RBA, which you could argue could well be the case. So it might mean that the Reserve Bank next time round perhaps keeps rates on hold.
That's exactly the point. The CBA is very much doing the RBA's work for it, and official rate rises now could very much be limited in the months ahead.
Correct. And I mean, the other issue, I suppose, is that when you look at the note that came out from the Reserve Bank yesterday, pretty much indicated that we're not likely to see another rate increase before the end of the year, which effectively means that the next board meeting for the RBA won't be until February. So I suppose we've got some respite in respect to that. But retailers, of course, have a real issue now with what's likely to happen between now and Christmas.
And Rob, what do you expect in the local market today?
Local markets today will be up slightly. Wall Street was quite good last night, so I expect our market probably rise about 10 or 20 points today.
Rod North, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.